Tell me, how many of you love watching movies or a series on television concerning... Your hands are up already. That's one of the problems of people doing essay type assignment writing. They don't even know what the question is and they start answering already. Okay, anyway, but I'm glad that you are so enthusiastic. Let me try again. How many of you love watching either movies or I'm just waiting for them to calm down. A series on television regarding law, the law, anything regarding the law. Quite a few people. Is there anybody that would like to tell me what you like about it? Anybody, but you can't talk together. Put up your hand and just tell me. Thank you, sir. The way they dress. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? I can't hear you. Put up your hand. Thank you. What about it? What about the presentation? She says. Okay, so is it their language? The way they walk, the language. Yes? I can't hear you. She gets to learn law without having to go to law school. You do, of course, know that the movies and reality are two different things. But anyway, that's fine. Somebody's hand was up over there. How they get to the bottom of a case. I'm going to give you an opportunity, and then we'll carry on. Thank you. They stick to the story and they start believing their own lies. Yes? The storyline. Okay. We are quickly going to have a fictitious court case procedure here and see what we can learn from that. Let's say, for argument's sake, Jabu works for Mr. Baloy in Mr. Baloy's garden. With Jabu lives his wife and 2 of his little children. And everything goes well. After the first month, Mr. Baloy pays Jabu for his work. After the second month, the same. Third month, the same. Fourth month, no pay for Jabu. So, Mr. Baloy, problem? You know what, something happened, but don't worry, I'll get the money to you. End of the 4th month, still no money. 5th month, same thing, and things are really, really getting hectic in Jabu's house now. His wife, in the meantime, goes to see the social worker to just get some basic food for them to just manage. By the end of the 6th month, Jabu is now really desperate, and he takes or steals Mr. Baloy's lawnmower, and he goes and sells it. Not long after that, somebody tells Mr. Baloy, I noticed that your lawnmower got sold this afternoon. And I think it was Jabu. So he goes and he makes, now I'm going to say a few things about what happens in the law, but I'm not a law expert, so if you are a law expert, then please don't be overcritical. It's not the idea here to be, to be very exact. I just want you to get the scenario here. So he goes and Mr. Baloy goes and makes a statement at the police station, says what happened. Not long thereafter, Jabu gets not a warrant of an arrest, but he needs to appear in court, and he realizes that he needs legal aid, which he gets. This is now what happens before the day in court, which eventually takes place. So there they are, the day in court. Now, I would have wanted to have us interact here, but because it's this time of the day, I'm just going to run through it, okay? I'm being sympathetic here. Okay. So what happens now, those of you who like to watch movies, and please remember that this is South Africa and not America, just give me a short, just tell me slightly what happens on the day in court. And now I'm specifically dealing with protocol. You know what protocol means, eh? how things are done in a certain area or milieu or whatever the case may be. Now, I'm asking you specifically concerning the protocol of court case procedure. We are now in court. What's going to happen now? Who is there first? Don't talk together, please. Put up your hand. Thank you. The accused is there. Jabu, yeah? You can give it all.
The judge will be there.
There will be a judge.
The interpreter.
There's the Americans now. Plaintiff. We don't have plaintiffs here. Somebody to defend Jabu. And
interpreter if he needs one. An interpreter if he needs one.
If he needs one, and the interpreter, she's very detailed. Keep it simple.
Witness. Is one of those witnesses.
Witnesses. Basically, the main characters that I want you to pay attention to is the accused, plus somebody that will accuse him on behalf of the state, which we call the prosecutor, somebody to defend him, which we will call a defense attorney. We will have, but we still with protocol, so the judge will not be there still. There will be people seated, and the accused and everybody, and then the judge will the court official will come in, and he will ask everybody to rise. The judge comes in, he sits down. That is protocol. This is how it's done in the court. Okay, right. What happens now? Who can tell me? What happens now? Okay, after that? How? What happens when the trial starts? What do they do? Exactly. He gets, the court, everybody who is there gets introduced to what is going to happen today. We call that the introductory remarks. Am I right? The prosecutor will get up. He represents the state. He will say, Your Honor. He will address the judge. Your Honor, in the case of the state versus Mr. And he will give his official name, protocol again. The state sets out to prove that Mr. So-and-so has stolen a lawnmower and he is guilty of theft, and therefore he needs, by the law of this country, he is guilty and he needs to be charged. Sits down. Now it's the defense attorney's opportunity, let's make her a woman. She gets up and she says, Your Honor, in the case of the state versus my client, she calls him a client because she's going to represent him, and also she calls him a client because she's providing a service. You know the difference between customer and client. And she sits down. Now everybody knows what's going to happen. They don't know the detail, but they know what to expect because of the introductory remarks that have been made. Okay. Next, they are now going to start arguing. They are now going to, that which they said is going to happen is now going to take place. So now the prosecutor will get up. He will have his witnesses. He will have his evidence, and there will be different forms of evidence in the form depending on the type of case that it is. Okay. You will have everybody there that he needs to come to the witness box and to say what they need to say. You will also have, if it's fingerprints that he's going to need, you will have all those things ready. So you will make a point that the defense will get up, will cross-question, and you know more or less how it goes. Until that whole process has taken place. What happens now? They've both argued their case. This one argues for guilt. This one argues for innocence, or if not innocence, remember you will tell the person who represents you everything. This person, the defense attorney might argue for, yes, my client did in fact steal the lawnmower, but there are what we call, and I love this word in English, mitigating circumstances. To mitigate something means to make it softer. Okay? Make it softer. It's not the way it is. It's not just the way it is. There are some mitigating circumstances which you need to take into place. That might be their point of argumentation. Right. So now they've each done their argumentation. What happens now? I can't hear you. Okay. They are going to make, thank you, their closing remarks. And this is where in the movies, this is your thing, okay? This is where they really strut their stuff. That's a lovely English expression. When I look at the, what do we call these birds? Peacocks. Have you seen the peacocks on our campus? Have you seen them strutting their stuff? Yo, I love it. Anyway, I was actually late the other day for a meeting because I just couldn't handle this bird because they are now, it's in a mating season, and the male, they are most the, listen to my Afrikaans slipping through. They are the beautiful ones, and he was just doing his thing there, and I thought, yo, I'm going to be late for this meeting, but I can't miss this. I don't see it every day. They remind everybody what this is about, and they come to a conclusion. Remember, not all cases are very simple. If you consider the one that we've just had about with Juju and his friend, I can't remember his name. I'm not talking about Jup Jup, now I'm talking about Juju with the, I'm talking about Jup Jup, the ones with the cars, with the Mini Coopers. I mean, it's been now 2 years, so you can imagine the importance of closing remarks when it comes to cases that take so long. Okay, right. Then they have their closing remarks. What's going to happen now? Now the judge needs to give the verdict. What is he going to base his verdict on? On facts. What? Give me another name for facts. Evidence. Now I want to ask you, what about the evidence? What type of evidence will convince the judge? I'm looking for a specific word. If you can't get to the word, just describe what you think, what type of evidence will the judge need. Convincing, that's a good word. The word that I'm looking for is credible. Credible meaning believable. Okay, so the type of evidence that was put before him will convince him of which side he should go for. Something else, and I'm going to just give you the answer. Not only the evidence, not only the credibility of the evidence, but how the evidence was presented. How it was used to prove the point of argumentation for guilt or for innocence or guilty with mitigating circumstances. You will be aware that in our country we have a situation where people, if they have been involved in a crime, they can turn what we call state witness. Then they go and tell whoever is involved in the case from the side of the law, I will give you all the information. In turn, I will not be prosecuted. And then what happens in the end, you must have heard this before. Many times in our country, the state bungled the case. All the facts were there, but they did not know how to use the facts. Or the other side worked better with the facts that were before them or the evidence. Okay, so the judge bases his judgment on the credibility of the facts and also how it was presented. Now, why am I telling you this when you are here for writing skills? I think it should be obvious. Yes. What? Tell me what's so obvious. I hear mumblings, but I don't get somebody to say, this is the thing. Thank you, sir.
Introduction, body, and conclusion. You should have everything that you need to describe a certain topic. You should be able to outline whatever you've been asked to do.
Right. Now, all along, thank you, all along we've been at school and we've heard about introduction, body, and conclusion. You take a student's essay type assignment, you see a first paragraph. It's not an introduction. You see a few other paragraphs. Because that's not an introduction, this can't be a body. You see a last paragraph. It's not a conclusion. Please take note, ladies and gentlemen, that there are specific elements which make an introduction an introduction, which make the body, and which make the conclusion the conclusion. One thing I want to ask you, can the legal representatives, does not matter now which side of the coin they are representing, can they come into that court that day hoping to win the case if they don't already know beforehand what point of argument they're going to follow, if they don't already know what evidence they have that they're going to put before the judge, and if they don't already know how they're going to use the evidence and how they're going to come and bring everything together to prove their point of view? Can they? You can't. Similarly, you cannot start an assignment by starting with the introduction. You are wasting your time and you are just going to write a whole lot of nonsense, which will be the first paragraph, but it will not be an introduction. There are certain elements which make an introduction, and if they are not there, it is not an introduction. And you can only write a good introduction if you have already done your work, and then you tell the reader, like the legal representatives, this is what I'm going to do. This is my point of view. This is how I'm going to prove it. This is the purpose of us being here in court. This is the purpose of my essay. When a person reads a well-constructed introduction, he or she does not have to read further. You can get your mark based on what your introduction sounds like. When you write your body, like the legal representatives, they said they're going to do certain things. They are now going to do it by making use of whatever is at their disposal. They are going to call in evidence. You are going to need sources. What type of evidence do they need? What was the word? And use that word. It's a beautiful English word. Simple but beautiful. Credible. They need credible evidence. Your sources need to be credible. You cannot get sources anywhere. You cannot, the defense attorney would not have been very successful if one of her witnesses was Jabu's mom. She can't be a credible witness. She is emotionally linked to Jabu. Okay? She is going to say, but my son is not like that. He would never do a thing like that. He grew up before me and he was in church. It's not going to work. It's not believable. Okay? It's not believable. Just as a matter of interest, I listened to a conversation on the radio a year or so ago where a matriculant had stolen a cell phone. And her mom took her to the police station. She was now going to have a criminal record. And the other listeners who were calling in were furious with the mom. How can she let her child now walk around with a criminal record? And the mom said, if I don't stop it now, it's going to just become worse. So that's what I'm going to do. But I don't think Jabu's mom would have done that. Okay, so she would not have been a credible witness. Okay, so your lecturer is going to look at the credibility of the sources that you present to him or her. Do you know about the priceless work that the information librarians are doing? You know about that? You should know. They will be able to give you peer-reviewed information, classy information that your lecturers will not doubt because of who you are quoting. Secondly, your lecturer will also look at how you present your information. Remember I said there are cases when people have the facts, but the way they present it, they cannot make a point. The point that they started out to make, they don't know how to make that point. You should be able to use the information that you have and to make your point. You cannot write, number one, without having a point of view. They come into that court with points of view. Guilty, innocent, or guilty with mitigating circumstances. That is the point of view, and they're going to stick with it. Those of you who are writing dissertations, you will need to have a thesis statement. That is what you believe, and that is what you're going to argue throughout. When those legal representatives are done, you will be able to draw a straight line from the introduction right to the conclusion. They only come there to do the one thing, and that is to prove their point of view. While they already, by virtue of their occupations, they know already what their point of view is. Even before they know the facts, the prosecutor will always be, he's going to always go for guilty. He's not going to get up one morning and say, you know what, today I think I'm going to be on the side of the accused. No, he will always go for guilt, and on the other side for innocence. You and I, on the other hand, who are studying, we need to read our information, and then we need to decide, what is my point of view on this matter? And when you've got your point of view, that is your thesis statement, and then you go for it. I think I've said what I wanted to say. Are there any questions?